So I get asked this question a lot. What is that one skill that made you successful, that allowed you to have a cleaning business on autopilot, a rental properties on autopilot, pursue your passion projects, write a book, spend time with your kids and friends and family? Well, stay tuned, and exactly that's what I'd like to talk about this video. So before we go there, what I'd like to bring up to your attention is where I come from. So I come from a post-Soviet Union country with $200 only in my pocket and 3 months visa, and I did not even finish my degree, and I was studying to become an English major so I could teach English language to my fellow country people in Uzbekistan. However, when I arrived to America, I had to requalify myself, and I literally had nothing else to do but to learn other skills. And the basic jobs that I had to do were parking cars, cleaning, moving, relocating, door-to-door sales, and etc. So I had to learn all of this. The reason I'm saying this to you is because not to brag about my skills, but to tell you that you can do this as well. You can achieve everything, because I achieved this. I did not have the language, I did not have the papers, I did not have the connections, money, or the language, or know-how. So I learned this all. And when people ask me about that very one skill that I can do, is the lead generation. So for any business, you have to have a consistent flow of leads coming in. So you can be literally going through the leads and working on them and generating income. And if you are unable to create leads, then of course your business will struggle. And that's the skill that is acquirable. So are the many other skills. And hear me out before you say, oh, you don't speak English or you don't have papers, which are the legit points and valid points. But you can target your own market, your own niche, which means if you speak Spanish, then there's a very big Spanish speaking network, right? So you can service the network itself as long as you're able to generate the leads. And to generate the leads, there are various ways to do it. I'll tell you what worked for me. Even if you don't have papers currently and they're being processed, there's a way you can get a tax ID, open a company, start, or bring in a partner that has already papers and start a company and start servicing accounts. So those excuses are taken out, and then you might have another excuse saying, oh, I don't have an experience. Yes, I didn't have an experience as well, but that is something that you can learn, quite frankly, which I did. Watch the videos alike. If there's, by the way, like and share, of course. If there is any other way you have achieved, or one of the businesses that helped you, then let me know. So my story, how I was able to get into cleaning. Cleaning was my second business. So the very first business that I started was a retail. So basically I had my mom and dad to go to Uzbekistan and buy those antique things, souvenirs, knives and scarves and etc., head covers and etc., and ship them to me so I could sell them here. One of the things I wasn't able to do is I wasn't able to generate leads, because this was a business that required a storefront location, which is expensive, right? Signing a lease, having the shelving done, point of contact sales, etc. So that is expensive. So this was not an option for me. I needed a business that would go to customers and service them, which means I could run that business from a comfort of my basement. And this is exactly what I did. And when you do that, not only you're not paying that lengthy mortgage payment or lease payment for a commercial space, but you also writing off per square footage. If I'm not mistaken, it's $5 a square feet that you can write off, up to a certain square footage. It does have a limitation, but it is a tax advantage for you. So it seems like you're renting your basement. Even if you were renting, at that time I was renting the townhouse and renting the rooms to my friends. Some of those awesome people I became friends and business partners down the road. And the basement, I was utilizing it as an office, so I was claiming the tax deduction, and I picked intentionally a business which would go to customers so the clients didn't need to come to me. How did I start generating first leads? So lead generation, again, is a skill that I've learned and acquired, and you can do that as well. There are various ways you can do it. What worked for me had changed now, but those samples can give you an example, and you will be able to figure out your own way what works for you. So back then, Craigslist, the classified ads were just pretty popular. Actually, the Craigslist, the website, I started posting on Craigslist continuously, routinely, and start getting phone calls. This is how I got my very first customer who hired me to clean their house every other week on Pocket Street in Baltimore. An amazing customer, a great couple. This was like a boost. So that was the very first client that hired me to do the work. And then website was coming up. So if you remember, those who remember, back then Yellow Pages were a big deal, and people were looking actually in a book to figure out what businesses, how to find the businesses, and Google was just coming up. So term Google it did not exist then. So it was just coming up. And I figured I kind of like jumped on that bandwagon. So if you think about it, there are different ways you can generate the leads, but leads are generated, somebody needs to hear about your service. So in an essence, lead generation is someone knows what you do, which means you're vocal about it and you talk about it, business cards, social media, etc. And they approach you and they tell you, dude, this is the service you need. This is my pain point. Can you help me solve it? So this is how it's generated. In the past, when no media existed, if you recall, we used to tell one another, oh, this is a great firm. Have you tried this? These guys are amazing. And we're like, oh, can you give me their phone number? So then it evolved. The print media came in to be a door hangers, a push marketing, a class-filled ads on a paper actually came to be, and then a cold calling came out to be like a fancy strategy, which still works. It just takes a lot of, in my opinion, effort for ROI, because in my point, you can do it different. So I kind of jumped on a wagon of websites, and I'm like, oh, this is the future next. And no one to say that this website, Google generation, search engine optimization is going to stay there on top, because now look, artificial intelligence has came up. So now we would have to figure out how to search engine, how to optimize our content and services for the artificial intelligence so we can be found for other people. Well, that's the whole different story. Going back, things that you can do. So I hired a WordPress developer. A friend of mine recommended about Joomla, which is CMS, content management software. This was HTML was just big, and then content management software was just coming up, and then I started paying someone, and I figured out it was super expensive. So what I did, I started educating myself. Go to the forum, go watch the videos, etc. And I figured it out. It was like pretty much drag and drop. The core principles, once you understand it, it will start making sense for you. So I created a website on Joomla. In about 5 weeks, as long as the URL was there, I figured out how to list the site on top, and I start receiving the phone calls. Once you have phone calls coming in, of course, not every sale will convert to a business, but that's the beginning. And that's the skill you need to learn. So let's say nowadays, if I were to start a company now, how would I generate leads? I would highly optimize my skill set so I can learn search engine optimization. I would utilize WordPress website so I can create a very nice website. I would also create social media pages and continue putting the content. I would also use ChatGPT to create an online content, which is good. I actually have another video where I'm explaining 10 steps how you can use AI, in particularly ChatGPT, to increase a content for you, to create a convertible content. So if you didn't watch that video, then go watch that video after this one. So I would utilize the ChatGPT or AI for the content creation and make sure my content is on top. The other shortcut for this, so there's the shortcut, right? Like this all may seem something that takes time. Yes, if you have a full-time job on a part-time, you can learn this. It all depends how passionate you are and how soon you need it. Of course, you can pay a freelancer, let's say Upwork or Fiverr. They're amazing freelancers nowadays. Back then, those sites didn't exist or they were too small. So I had to pay local people based in my Baltimore region, and they were super, super expensive for the website development. Now you can do that. You can learn it yourself. You can sub it out to a good freelancer, and or you can bring in a partner who actually knows that. So let's say you have someone who's really good at sales, marketing, email funnels, email drop campaigns, because that's another thing that you can do. You can use ChatGPT to create the content, a drip campaign. Then you can get one of the email campaign services and then buy the list of the emails and then put them on a drip campaign. You don't want to spam them. So that's a big thing. You want to offer them something. So the content should always be educational. Whatever you do, you have to give something. So you have to give a legit reason for a person to consume your content, whether it's digital or hard print. And once you educate and solve their problem, the confidence of that person's towards your skill set will go up, and they're like, this guy actually might be able to solve my problem, and it looks like he's an ethical and a right guy because he gives the content that is helpful for me without asking for anything in return. So to sum this video up, one skill for any business owner, regardless if you open a car manufacturing plant, a pressure washing company, maybe you make a cups, etc., doesn't matter. Even your doctor, right? Well, if you're a doctor, it's different because this healthcare is different. But let's say you're Masu certified, but you will need to be able to bring in more customers. Remember, lead generation is an essential skill, and I highly believe that at least one of the owners must know how to generate the leads, because once the customers come in, not every client will stay yours. There's a lifetime value to a customer, which means in some time they'll leave. You will continuously be losing for one or the other reason clients, as long as your input onboarding of customers is higher than what you're losing, then you keep growing. So that's one of the biggest skills that as a business owner I recommend every single one of us will master.